All right, so welcome to Bitch I Ain't Scared.
Bitch, I ain't scared.
Very first episode. I'm Nathaniel,
My name is Rob,
aka the Fool and the Scholar.
respectively. Yes, I, Rob, and the Scholar. I feel that I'm probably more smarter than you, as I say more smarter.
But let's not forget that the Fool is the one who lasted a lot longer. But anyway, in a few months I'll be something else entirely, I'm sure. Maybe I'll come in and be the whore. But yes, we're really excited to do this.
I'm a little nervous, though, a little. You know, it's my first time recording my voice in this manner. I mean, I did the video thing, and that was even bad. It was, I don't know.
It wasn't bad. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And this is awesome, too. And it's okay to be nervous. I'm a little nervous, but
we ain't scared.
we're not scared yet.
Bitch, I ain't scared.
But we're just here to have fun, so hopefully you're going to have fun with us. So I guess to get things kicked off, we'll just give you a little bit of insight into who we are as people, sort of. Would you like to start?
So first off, I just want to point out that we are not experts at this.
Oh, right.
Our show basically is about the horror genre. We love horror movies, amongst all movies, but horror just seems to stick out with both of us. Anytime that we talk about movies, it just ends up on horror movies, and we just have a blast talking about it, so we figured, why not make a show out of it? And I've always enjoyed the idea of a podcast and always wanted to try it, and so I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do it. And yeah, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely not.
No?
No, I really don't want to be here, Rob. Jesus. Yes, I never fancied myself being a podcaster or radio personality. I have no idea. And maybe I'm not at all. But my mom's going to at least listen to this. So, by the way, Mom, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk like an adult on this show. Really sorry. Not sorry. But, and maybe you'll be open to this, in the future, we will be talking about all different aspects of the horror genre. Not just movies, but television. I love reading books, so I will be talking about
yeah.
that.
I mean, I would love to talk about, like video games,
Comics.
Yeah.
Yes. And something that we're definitely going to do is dip into the past from our upbringing, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite things from childhood that scared the hell out of us.
You are listening to a couple of 90s kids.
So yeah, when we talk about sort of children-oriented material, I will refrain from speaking like a whore.
Yes, another disclaimer. This is going to be a rated R podcast, so
Yes.
if your children listen to this, they're going to hear a lot of curse words, a lot of sex talk.
Yeah.
We're also on the gay variety, so
We're
they're going to
sorry.
learn about some gays
Yeah.
tonight. And yeah, so hopefully that is okay.
Maybe not tonight, but eventually. I'm
Eventually, yeah, it may seep out just a little bit, but I mean, this is also a platform to show everyone that gays do like horror movies. We're not just all about the movies with a huge female sort of dynamic, which is how people usually will
Yes.
see how we watch movies. But no, we like the disgusting, gory, bloody, scary type stuff too, and I'm sure there are some other horror fans out there who also happen to be gay. So I mean, if that's you, this is a show for you as well.
If you ever find yourself on a gay dating app and you scroll down to someone's interest, 90% of the time I feel like I was looking at guys who were interested in horror films. It would be like horror and comedy. That's what it would say. They wouldn't even say something specific. They just liked horror movies.
It's so funny you say that. It's something that I've noticed when I moved here to LA, is that not only are more gay guys into horror movies, but they will announce it in their profiles. They like, what kind of movies you like? Bam, right off the bat, scary movies.
Yeah.
And I love that about this city. I think it's great. I didn't expect it either, so it's good to see other guys admit that they enjoy a good horror movie, you know?
Yes. And I guess to step back just a moment. So, to tell you a little bit about myself, actually, I'm going to admit that I was not a horror fan when I was younger.
Did you hate them?
I did. And I guess I'll say I didn't know I was a horror fan, to be fair. But the horror that I was exposed to, and especially, like the late 80s, early 90s was not the golden era. Maybe you could like cherry pick a few, but there was not, it wasn't like a lot to pick from anyway. And that was in the Sci-Fi Channel's heyday when they had some TV movies that, you could skip over altogether. The thing that sticks out in my mind is a movie called Ticks. Do you remember that?
Oh my god. I had planned on bringing Ticks up at some point in the show. I just needed a reason to bring it up. So you're saying because of Ticks, you
No,
did
not just because of Ticks.
Okay. By the way, Ticks is one of those creature features that came up with the most insane idea for a horror movie, but it worked for me. I don't know if you liked it or not.
I respect, as an adult now, I respect the creature effects because I like creature effects, but it was not for me. Also, I'm not big on any sort of arachnid type deal, so I wasn't a fan. I just didn't like it. My stepdad, he would rent these horrible movies.
It has Carlton in it from Fresh
I know,
Prince.
and he is
Seth
just...
Green. Like, this was his... I don't know if this was his first movie.
No, it wasn't his first movie.
Okay. This man played the golden hero against Ticks. Clint Howard was in it, too.
You're not going to convince me that...
No, it's not about convincing. But there is just something... I don't know. I just thought that movie was fun.
Back when I was a child, it was either they were really gross or they were just a little too intense for me. I mean, and it's funny to say, I had to leave the room during Dr. Giggles, if that gives you any perspective. It was just too intense. He was like cutting people up, and I was like, oop, I gotta go. But then around the age of 11, I started to appreciate the horror genre, and I already actually did. I just didn't know it. So, if anybody remembers the film An American Tail, it's an animated film about a little Russian mouse family. They moved to America, I don't know, turn of the century, 1900s. And there's some really intense moments in that. I mean, there's some fucking intense moments. At the beginning of the movie, there are these cats under the snow coming towards the mouse, and their little Russian hats are like bouncing on top of the snow like some sharks. And it's scary. And then when his little ass goes out and he's like, oh, I'm going to catch my hat outside, the demon wave comes and knocks him off the boat. That wave was scary. Whoever animated that... Don Bluth films were no joke back in the day. Like Disney is all like...
I will agree with that.
Disney's kind of scary, but no, Don Bluth... All Dogs Go to Heaven. That was scary. That was my first glimpse of Satan in a film, I think. In an animated film. Hell. That was scary. That was some scary shit. Dark Crystal, Labyrinth. Maleficent was pretty scary in Sleeping Beauty, actually. She was scary.
Return of Oz was some scary stuff.
Oz,
I mean, there was like some decapitation on there, some scary looking pumpkins, very dark, and apparently everybody was like shitting all over the Wheelers. Like anytime those fools were on screen, like hearing those wheels, So I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
So then,
scary.
What would you say would be the movie that turned you over? Then, so you obviously love horror now. What was that movie that got you to enjoy them or like them more?
Scream.
That was the first one.
That was the first
that got you
one
into.
That I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was scary. It was still scary. It was intense, but it was different. And I mean, granted, I was used to watching it. A lot of straight-to-video things where the production values were what they were. And there is a fan base for that, definitely. I'm not going to say that I don't like any of it, but when Scream came along, it was just that I think it had a lot to do with what was going on in my life at the same time, I was no longer in elementary school. I was going into middle school. Now I'm giving away my age.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't a child anymore. I wasn't reading Goosebumps anymore. Like that month in November of 1996, I was done. And then that next month, Scream came out, and I was just I was becoming more mature, I guess.
And so did you go back and watch other horror movies that came out before then, once you started liking them?
Yes, because granted, there were some movies that I just didn't watch.
Yeah.
I remember walking up the stairs of my grandmother's house. I don't know how old I was. I was in elementary school. And then I would go to the top, and at the end of the hallway, I could see into my Uncle Lonnie's bedroom, and he had a Freddy Krueger poster on the wall. I think it was the Dream Child poster.
Uh-huh.
And I would not go into that room because I knew he was scary. But I definitely went back when I was a teenager, and I watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and I loved it. I saw Friday the 13th after I saw Scream, so the surprise was kind of ruined. But I still went back and I watched the originals. Yeah, so I definitely appreciate things that came out pre-Scream. It's just, it took me until I was a little older to really get into it. I have cousins who were half my age at the time, and they loved Scream, so they got into it very young. But yeah, that's my story.
Nice. See, folks, this is what I love about this idea that we're doing this podcast, because Nate is a really good friend of mine. Ever since I moved here, you would think that we know everything about each other because we decided to do this together. I don't know half of it, and I'm gonna learn tons of stuff doing this with him, so I'm super excited. For me, I guess, well, okay, honestly, there were some horror films that I couldn't get through, but at the same time, I was still exhilarated by them, and they never really turned me off from not watching them. I just knew which movies not to watch. But honestly, what got me into horror movies is actually not even a horror movie. So my brother, me and him would watch movies all the time together, and so obviously him being the older brother, I would always want to do everything he does, and that came down to watching the same type of movies that he does. And so I got into horror based on the supernatural aspect of it, and the movie that did it for me was Big Trouble in Little China. I know, weird, right?
I don't
even know
think
that
I have heard the
So
title.
Kurt Russell is in it,
Okay.
I believe it came out after the whole escape to New York and
Okay.
whatnot. You've never heard of this?
I've heard the title.
Okay. So
But-
it's super cheesy, and it has a whole bunch of supernatural elements, but it introduced me to monsters and just in a more sort of horror element way. I mean, before that, I think I remember watching like Beetlejuice and stuff like that. I mean, those are great influence, but like watching Big Trouble in Little China, where it was used in sort of a villainous way and a little less comical, I don't know. I was just kind of fascinated with the whole magic thing and the demons and the ghosts and whatnot. And so I started watching more horror movies, and then Creepshow, the very first Stephen King anthology. I think that was his first one. That one was pretty scary. It was only 3 stories, but they've impacted. Like, there was, I think, the last story called The Hitchhiker. He was like a night terror for me. I would go to bed dreaming about him almost every night.
He's a scary actor.
He is, and just that phrase, that "thanks for the ride late," like that would mess me up. But I still loved watching him. I don't know why. And then I would watch Freddy, and I knew it would scare me. I couldn't even watch it during the day. I had to ask my father to watch it with me just so I can watch it. It's weird. I knew that I couldn't watch it by myself, but I enjoyed watching it, and so I just kept watching horror movies as I grew up, and now it's just my favorite genre.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think, it was just setting us up to be horror fans, because I liked the thrills when I was younger. I liked watching these movies that were children movies that scared me. The Witches.
yes.
It was scary, but I still liked it. I still watched these movies, but they weren't horror movies, so it was okay to watch. I liked getting on roller coasters. I liked being scared, but I just like to be in a controlled environment. I don't want to really be scared. I think we've laid the groundwork for what you can sort of expect from us. Yes, I'm going to be talking about Scream a lot. So if you don't like Scream, I'm not going to talk about it every time, I promise. But
that's fine.
I'm probably going to reference it.
We're definitely going to devote one episode to the franchise and just talk about all of them and Wes Craven and such. So that movie will definitely have its day. I promise you that. Okay, so do not worry.
I'm not worried.
Yes, but yeah. So again, we want to talk about horror movie news that comes up every now and then. We'll talk about horror movies that are on Netflix. We'll give you some recommendations. I want to talk about all the other subgenres, our favorites in every category. We have some really interesting ideas to play games. We want to include the listeners and have them comment on our social media pages so we can read some of your comments online. I mean, I have so many ideas, and I hope that you guys all like us enough to keep us from not necessarily going off air, but I mean, just we want to be popular enough to get a lot of feedback and support from everyone, so we get a lot more listeners, and so that just drives us to do a lot more. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited
too.
So you said Scream is your favorite.
It is the one that popped my cherry, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's the one. It was clever, and I guess maybe it's dated now because we all have caller ID on all of our phones everywhere, so it's not that scary. There's security cameras everywhere. Nobody can get away with anything.
I actually have a story for you, but I'm not gonna tell you until we get to the Scream episode. Okay. You're gonna really enjoy this story. So okay. And that gives you guys something to look forward to too. See how we did that? See how we did that?
Yes.
So okay, well let's move on to I guess what do you want to tell me, like, if you've seen any sort of movies lately?
Okay, well, we should probably get into this, yes, while it's still fresh. So I had never seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know, it's terrible. I'd seen all the other originals, but I just hadn't seen that one. So we went to Great Horror Movie Nights. They host this series at the old Los Angeles Zoo in Griffith Park.
Yeah, so it was an outdoor sort of movie night sort of screening, and they decided to show Texas Chainsaw Massacre over the weekend, and so we decided to go and check this out.
Yes.
Not only was this your first time watching this movie, but you've never done an outdoor movie before, right? Is that
not? I've done the drive-in.
Okay.
But I've never just gone and sat on a hill and watched a movie. I've never done that.
I mean, obviously the screen is a lot smaller versus the drive-in,
But, I mean, it was a cool experience. There were scare actors walking around. I'm really glad they didn't walk up to me, because if they had come up behind me, I probably would have screamed, or I would have, accidentally popped them in the face as a reflex.
No, I told you to watch your back because they were swarming all
I know,
around
I kept
us.
watching them, but I was like, if they come up behind me, I mean, I can't do anything. I'm not going to see them. I'm trying to watch the damn movie. But yes, it was fun. It was a fun experience. I enjoy it. I do want to go back again. Probably not until Carrie.
Carrie's coming out, yeah.
I think that'll be the next time I am able to do it.
Uh-huh.
So, Carrie, yes.
Yeah, but, I had a lot of fun too. I enjoy watching outdoor screenings. I did this a lot when I was in Seattle. Every summer they would do that, and I actually did the Great Horror Movie Night here in LA one other time, and that was for Poltergeist. The difference is that this was done in around wintertime. It was around Halloween, and they also screened the movie super late, so it was freezing outside, and I had no idea I would get so cold, but it was a struggle trying to make it through that whole movie, but it worked. I had fun. It was nice to see that movie again. This time we went a little bit more earlier in the evening, and
we were there earlier in the evening as far as sunset time, but we were late, so we sat way in the back. But it was still good. It was still fine. Those two assholes with the really tall chairs, you were against regulation, so fuck you.
Fuck you.
But we'll have our chairs next time. But they won't be as tall. We'll be legit, because we're not going to be insensitive to other people.
I like to follow the rules.
And plus, I'm really super tall, so I don't like to block people.
So what did you think of the movie? Oh, see, this should be interesting. So let me just say that you ask anybody what their favorite horror movies is, usually you hear a lot of the same answers. This is not that show.
No.
You are going to hear some obscure, fucked up, I've never heard of titles. I'm sure what the fuck will come out of your mouth at least 5 or 10 times during the duration of this show, because
hopefully
we like different shit, and that's what I like about Nate, is that, you know, aside from liking a lot, I've heard you talk
I appreciate
about
that.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about
I
some
feel like a
different
pretty
titles.
basic bitch, so thank you. When it comes to, like I just said, I like Scream. Well, okay, so I'll just tell you this. I enjoyed the experience. I had already seen the remake. The first time I saw the remake, you know, it scared me. It was intense enough. The second time I watched it, it had lost its feeling. I didn't feel the same. So I thought I was going to see something different. I didn't know that it was going to be so close. Because a lot of it seemed like it was shot for shot. Like when he came through the door and he hit him with the hammer on the head. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. I mean, I know I just saw it, but I'm sorry. I'm an asshole. Yes. And then, you know, when he threw her on the hook, I mean, obviously he threw a different character on the hook in the other movie, but I don't know. I was expecting something else. The broad that survived, she annoyed the fuck out of me. She was not nice. She was so mean to her brother. She was so mean to him. And then he like got sawed in half in his damn wheelchair. That was mean.
Well,
and she was just screaming her head off. And I was like, bitch, shut the fuck up.
She
because
grew up with him. I mean, of course there's
care.
that sibling
I
sort of
don't
thing.
care.
But okay,
she was
I get
rude.
it. I get
okay?
it.
And
for
then
a final girl, I guess she should have been
She had
nicer.
those bright-ass white pants on. I was like, oh, God, she's just done. You know, he can see her. She's glowing in the fucking dark. She's glowing. And she's just screaming her head off. I would have killed her, too, because, damn, I just wanted her to be quiet. But the moment where they brought the grandfather down and they cut her finger open and they put her finger in his mouth, then he started sucking it. I was like, oh, he's not dead, but he sure did look like he was a corpse.
You
so
should have seen this man's face. Like, I'm watching him with every jump scare, because I have a okay memory of this movie, so I knew when to turn to him and see how he's going to react. And there was hardly anything. But they went upstairs and they saw, you know, the mom or the grandma and grandpa sitting in their chairs, and none of them were moving. He obviously assumed they were dead. I was like, oh, God, he's going to be surprised.
They were taxidermied.
And then he saw that they were, and his mouth literally just dropped. I was like, that's what does it for you.
That's going to be a theme with me. You'll find when I
Okay.
tell you different stories
Okay.
that happens. But, yes. But overall, I had fun.
So you prefer the remake then?
Maybe I just prefer the remake because
You saw it first.
I saw it first.
You
maybe.
saw it first.
But even so, like I said, the first time it did it for me. The second time, it doesn't continue to do it for me. Like, I can watch Candyman over and over, and I still feel not necessarily scared, but I still feel
That tension.
yeah, I still feel something.
I get it.
Yeah,
No,
it
I
still
get
does
it.
something
I get
for
it.
me. So, anyway, I'm glad that I saw it. You know, gotta view the classics, gotta view the originals, give it up to the OGs. And I have nothing against a remake. Just put it out there. I just don't want to see the same bullshit recycled. That's all. If you're gonna do a remake, well, maybe first of all, dip into the archives and find something that wasn't hugely popular. So maybe you could do something original.
No, we will definitely get to that in one episode. I do want to devote one just to talk about remakes and stuff like that. So we'll definitely get to that. I actually enjoyed watching the original again. It was funny to see how people react or you know, call for help or you know, try and stay as a group and all that without cell phones. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like, I can't imagine having split, you know, from my group and I can't find them. It's not like I can text them and be like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, you had to sit and wait for people to
That's
show
true.
up.
That's true.
And that to me is terrifying now. I can't imagine going somewhere and having one of my friends take off and not know where they are and just wait there. I mean, these characters was waiting until nightfall. Like, the sun was gone and they still hadn't come back. Do you leave? do you just assume they're just gonna call Uber and get home themselves? You had to wait for them, and so you were stuck having to go out into the woods and go to these dark places and look for your people. Otherwise, you'd be a shitty friend for leaving your phone. So, I mean, that kind of stuff just reminded me, back in the day, there was a lot of horror element and terror out there where, they were put in situations that they couldn't get out of. And I think that, I think they captured that really well.
Yes.
They did a lot of stupid decisions, but at the same time, it still worked.
Yeah. Yes, and I'll add to that, yes. Isolation, not having options like we do now, that is scary. I mean, we'll lose cell phone service, and that is a trope that pops up all the time now, where it's like, I have no service, and it's like, yeah, well, because you're, I don't know, in a haunted house, so no, you don't have any service. But they didn't have anything back then, so I do see that that is scary. When you don't have a GPS, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
It was fun. I'm looking forward to Carrie. Carrie, I've seen, but I think it'll be fun to watch it on the big screen. It's always fun when she finally is like, all right, I have to kill these assholes. So
yeah,
it's rewarding every time.
No, that's pretty good. Have you seen anything else that lately that you want to bring up?
Yes. Well, the thing that we've both seen. I always forget the title because it's such a long title.
No.
It's the girl with all the powers.
The
gifts.
Yes.
See, and I was like, no. It's like she has all the powers, but I'm like, she doesn't. There's no powers.
There's no powers. No.
But the girl with all the gifts. Yes. So actually, I was really excited. I watched this with my boyfriend, and we watched it at home on his TV, and it had just come out in theaters. I was like, oh, this is cool. I've never done this before. So I don't know what kind of deal that was. But anyway, if that happens, if you are scanning through your Vudu or whatever they have nowadays, there's so many options.
Well, Prime and Netflix.
I mean, sometimes you can watch a movie that just went into theaters. So I enjoyed it. It wasn't the typical horror zombie movie.
So tell them what it's about, though.
It's a British horror film, and it stars Glenn Close in a supporting role, and Gemma, I can never remember her name.
Arterton?
Yes.
Arterton, yes.
Gemma Arterton. I like her. She's an enjoyable actress. They are on a military facility, and they have a group of children. Apparently, they are infected with the
there's
zombie
this
virus,
there's
whatever
this
you want to call it.
Yeah, there's this fungus in this.
The fungus, that's right.
Yeah, in this sort of dystopian future. Basically, there's this fungus that has infected most of the world.
Are we gonna do spoilers on this one?
No. I don't want to spoil this because
okay.
I think this is a movie that definitely should be watched. We won't spoil everything, but
this is just the groundwork.
Yeah, so I mean, it takes place when it is all when the shit has all hit the fan. Most of the world is infected with this fungus, and they're obviously a group of people who haven't been infected yet, and most of it takes place on this military base where they're trying to find a cure, and they are using these children as a way to find that cure. But they also notice that these children are different from the original people who are infected. They call them second generations, and these kids weren't necessarily infected as carriers, but I guess I guess their parents were, and then they were born, or something like that. But it all focuses on this little girl named Melanie. Was that her name?
Fiona?
That's
why you said it, Melanie. Fiona.
No. Yeah, so this little girl, Melanie, who's just a super intelligent little girl. She's very sweet.
She's so nice.
Yeah.
And they're all mean to her, and they call her, like, vermin and mucus.
You just love her. But
so mean to her.
she is a part of the infected, and she gets really... She forms a bond with this teacher who teaches them, things and whatnot, and then also Glenn Close, who is the scientist, tries to find a cure. Well, I won't go any further than that, but what I'll say is that this would, I guess, be more in the genre of zombies. I guess it's more of a zombie movie, but I'll tell you this. this movie got real creative with the whole zombie aspect as far as the rules, the way that they look, how they function. You think you've seen them all. I'll tell you right now, this movie went a different direction with it. I really love the rules that they created. I liked how they functioned and how how fast they turned, or things like that, and just the sort of mythology in this world. And what do they call them? The Hungries? Is that what they were called? I can't remember. They came up with a really clever name for them too, because
can't call them zombies.
Yeah, you can call them zombies. So you got to think of something, and they came up with a really clever name too. So I would still categorize it as a horror movie, but
yeah, it's
kind of a drama.
Yeah,
to be honest,
because it's sort of like it's. I don't think this is giving too much away, but I would say it's bookended with horror, and then it's more drama of this young girl sort of trying to figure out who she is, and why she is the way she is, and she's trying to connect with the people around her, even though some of them are not so nice. And you'll have a few instances where people, of course, make really bad decisions, and you're like, God, I wish you hadn't done that. So it wouldn't be a horror movie without a few bad decisions. But I enjoyed it.
And there were some scary elements. Did you guys get scared at all?
Scary.
Did you jump at all or whatever?
We jumped. He isn't big on violence either. So, I mean, not to say anyone's big on violence, but anytime it's like, someone getting like their neck ripped out, he was kind of like, no. He doesn't want to deal with that. But we both really liked the little girl, and we really empathized with her. So whoever is in charge of casting, clap, clap, clap.
Yeah, I would really like to see her in more stuff. Her name, what is this? Senia Nanas, I think her name is. Yeah.
Totally butchered that.
I know, I probably did.
But yes, you did a great job. Also, Gemma Arterton, she was a nice character. Not to say that everyone has to be nice, but she was likable. We cared about her. We cared about her.
I didn't want her.
I didn't want her to get eaten.
Exactly. So no, I think that's a really good goal when you take a part in a horror movie.
Yes.
So unfortunately, this title isn't on Netflix, so it's not free. You would have to go to Prime and order it, or on demand or whatnot. But I'd say that it's worth it. I think you guys should definitely check it out.
If you're in the mood for something different, check it out. If you are just in the mood to watch what watch The Walking Dead, I guess. I'm not dissing The Walking Dead, by the way. I like The Walking Dead. I enjoy it.
So
I don't know why I felt the need to cover that up.
I have no idea.
Because I'm gonna diss other things.
No, probably.
And then I'm gonna retract. By the way, I wasn't totally dissing that movie when I called it a piece of shit. Well, yeah, I think that's currently what
you've seen. Okay.
Yeah,
So I actually ended up watching one. I wouldn't say this is a horror, but it is sort of a monster movie. So I think it fits for this show. And I want to talk about it because I enjoyed it. I don't think you ended up seeing it yet.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so the movie I am going to bring up is Colossal. Colossal stars Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. And it's sort of more of a comedy because the plot is just so freaking ridiculous. But it's a monster movie, and I think it should be talked about. So Anne Hathaway plays this woman who is sort of like a borderline alcoholic. She's kind of down on her luck. She doesn't necessarily have a zest for life or motivation to, thrive better. I don't know. She just doesn't really give a shit. But she has this boyfriend who is tired of her bullshit and just completely dumps her and kicks her out of the house. So it's unexpected, and she doesn't know really what to do with herself. And without money, she decides to move back to her hometown and stay in her old parents' house. And this is where she ends up meeting some of her childhood friends, and, she's trying to get her life back together and such. And she meets up with Jason Sudeikis, who offers her a job, and they were childhood friends, and so they, catch up and whatnot. Meanwhile, in the country of Seoul, North Korea or South Korea? God. My bad. Well, okay, so in Seoul...
Geography.
I know, geography. This is not a geography show, this is a horror show, so I know my horror. So, there you go. Meanwhile, in Seoul, there is this monster about the size of Godzilla. They're, another word from his kaiju. Basically, out of nowhere, a monster manifests himself into Seoul and just starts destroying the city, just walking through it, destroying anything in its path. And it turns out that the monster is connected to Anne Hathaway's character, and everything that she does during a certain part of the day is mimicked by this monster. And so she actually can control what the monster does. And so hijinks ensues, and she obviously, kind of figures out what's going on and why. And I think the movie is really, really good. It's funny, but it also has a thriller aspect to it because people are dying in Seoul while she's doing this. You're obviously not going to laugh at something like that. So
would you?
It gets a little serious when the story goes on. And I think during this journey, she learns about responsibility and how her actions affect others. I want Anne Hathaway to do more movies like this. I think she thrives better at playing somebody who's a little bit more grounded, down to earth, maybe down on her luck. I don't know. I just like her in this role. She did amazing. And Jason Sudeikis, I was completely thrown with his performance. He actually did stuff that I had no idea would be asked of him, without spoiling anything. But Colossal, very good. I actually recommend this. This is still in theaters, I think. So, yeah, if you had any interest in watching it, definitely check it out. It is pretty good. It's unique. It's original. I haven't seen a monster movie like this before, so hopefully they come out more with stuff like this. So, yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
You should see it.
I will see it eventually as soon as my cash flows in.
Anything else?
Don't have anything else
Should
at
we
the moment.
should we close
I think
up
we
a
should
little bit?
close.
Okay,
up.
so yeah, I think this was a nice first episode. Again, more to come.
Nice.
We have tons of ideas that we want to do, and we hope to come out. What should we say weekly? Yeah.
Or maybe we'll just drop one on you whenever we fucking feel like it.
But we want to.
Frequently.
We want to be
Not
consistent,
infrequently.
and again, this show is for anyone who loves horror movies. This show is for anyone who thinks they like horror movies but don't know what to watch. We're here for you. This show is something for people who are stuck in traffic every day and need something to listen to. If you're taking a bath,
whoa.
You can listen to our show while you do that as well.
Just don't drop your electronics in the water.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and
yes.
We'll definitely be doing this a lot more often because I had fun. Did you have fun?
I did. If you want to keep up with us, make sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages. It's all pretty simple. Fear Bias. So if you follow the handle @FearBias, go to Facebook. We'll keep you updated as much as possible. YouTube is the same. We don't have any videos up yet, but we will very shortly.
Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna be.
Yeah,
visually, we're gonna do some videos too. Okay.
Maybe whatever.
But yes, definitely like us, share us, tell your friends about us, get them to comment. We want to hear what you guys think of our first episode, and hopefully you guys liked it.
Hopefully, and if not,
we're gonna keep doing this anyway.
Yeah.
So,
thanks, and we'll catch you next time on Bitch I Ain't Scared.
Bitch, I Ain't Scared.